We want to hear all that you have to say.
I was
Am I
taught
the token Jew?
I was taught as a singer to eat the microphone.
I don't think we've ever had one of those on this show.
So
Did you say token Jew?
Yeah.
Oh, we've never had a token Jew on
we
here.
haven't.
Nice.
We've had a couple of we had a token woke pastor.
Oh man, I wish I could have been there for that one.
Watch it, dude.
Yeah.
Watch it. Like
Watch
I had 4 different people pray over me beforehand because I was so nervous about it. But he dug his own graves.
Yeah.
You know,
You just got to let them talk.
Just let them talk, and they just start digging their own graves.
Yeah,
So
because they can't back up anything they say.
no.
They try to twist scripture, but it's not what it says.
Yeah.
And then we had Michael Pagano on the next week.
He was exactly the opposite.
The complete opposite. It was, and now we're gonna have them both on for a debate, like a theological debate.
That's good.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
You know who I should get you in contact with is Jake Lang.
Oh, I have Jake Lang's number.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh yeah, I'm
good.
trying to get him on the pod, but I think he contacted me because he wanted me to do some investigation for him, like for the H-1B visa stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily my forte, you know. And then this new guy just started popping up, Tyler. He's actually going around in Frisco and other places and just interviewing all the Indians.
Oh, I think I've seen a video of him, but I haven't really.
He's got like over 1 million followers on freaking Instagram. I was like, oh my gosh, who is this guy?
Sweet.
So, we good, Mike? We good? Welcome to Nick's Right Podcast, where Nick's always right, old millennial Gen Xer.
Gen X.
Yeah, that's his.
Gen X.
That's what he likes to do whenever I say Gen Xer. Anyway,
Well, I
let's go
just
ahead.
want him to know who the Gen X is versus who the old millennials.
I think
and
they
by
can
the way,
figure
old
it out
millennials
by
very
looks alone.
Old
Nick.
millennials very confusing. It makes him sound old. He's a young pup. He's a millennial. He just happened to be one of the first millennials.
Yes.
So he calls
Very
himself an old
proud of it.
millennial. And that's to clear that confusion up, because I know people are like, old millennial. What does that mean?
It's because I'm one of the first. I'm a prime millennial.
One of the first, not the first.
Okay, one of the first. Prime. Anyway, shut up. Patriot Mobile. PatriotMobile.com/NRP for your first month free, or just go to PatriotMobile.com, put in the code NRP. Live Audio, LIVV Audio, the headphones we're wearing. Premium headphones, LIVV, not LIVE. Put in the code NRP for a 15% discount. These are premium headphones that can wire in or go Bluetooth. Better than Bose. And we have one more. Give me that. We have one more product. This is Patriot
Oh, you stole my
Pouch.
thunder. I was gonna
Patriot Pouch.
break out the Patriot Pouch, man.
Shut up. Patriot Pouch. I'm trying to get the camera to me.
Tell me to shut up. You're looking at the red light. The red light is on me. There it
No,
goes.
the
It's
red light's
you.
on me, son.
Why is it on me?
and
You should
did Michael intervene?
Oh, Michael intervened. The red
Patriot
light's
Pouch.
always on him, Michael. Why would you intervene like that?
Patriot Pouch. This is a new type of alternative to dipping.
That's right.
Yes, and this is Alex Duncan's new product. I'm sorry, the word just eluded me whenever I'm trying to say product. And this is also one of our new guests. We haven't had him on before. Alex
Sir.
Duncan. Go ahead and switch it to him, Michael. Sorry, you can turn it back on. Nick was just trying to steal the spotlight. Alex Duncan is one of our awesome guests. He's going to be on here today. We're going to bash a lot of Islam. I'll let you flash that. If
Why
you want
would the
to.
guy who actually quit dipping want to steal your thunder on talking about dip alternative?
Oh, whatever.
I
Nick.
just don't understand
I
that.
think Nick is doing his due diligence to get some of the spotlight, which is fine.
From
you know,
who? You?
From everyone.
No. You're kidding.
See, he's doing it. He's not. He usually doesn't do this. Anyway, introduce yourself and tell us about your product.
Yep, Alex Duncan. Sadly, I wasn't born and raised in Texas like y'all, but I made it over here
It's
as fast
okay,
as
man.
I could.
You saying
accept
y'all?
with open arms.
I heard y'all.
Because you have to assimilate. That's the thing. If you move to somewhere else, you assimilate to that culture.
Thank you very
get
much.
into
Oh, we're going right in.
Yeah,
We don't hear
get into
enough of that.
today. But police officer for almost 14 years out in Southern California.
Awesome.
And
What
I
city?
just- Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills.
Oh,
Okay.
in Beverly Hills.
Sweet.
So I just saw how that degraded very quickly,
Mhm.
especially after 2020.
Oh man.
And having 2 young children, I was like, not raising them here.
Okay.
Not in this demonic, just terrible place. So I made it out to Texas, and it's been great, but there's a lot of issues that have come to light since being here.
Absolutely. And you've been here how long?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years a Texan.
Follower of Christ.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
and
the biggest part.
one of your biggest things you do online is you battle Islam. You battle the Indian takeover as well, but
Correct.
Biggest thing is the Islam.
Biggest thing is Islam, because I honestly say it's the greatest threat we are facing.
Yeah.
And not enough people have woken up to that yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of the easiest things to find out about. You just have to read their works. And
Yeah, they don't hide it, man.
it's clear as day what it is.
Yeah, it's clear as day. It's out in the open. They don't even hide it. It's not a secret.
But the sad thing is, why I've taken a keen interest in it is if Islam takes Texas, America's done.
Oh, we're going to get into it.
So that's
I've
why
said that.
I'm very heavy into that issue.
Okay. All right. And our second guest is Liz. Oh my gosh, Liz. I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Benichou.
Benichou. I want to say Benichou. And so I'm glad you said it first. Benichou. And you are also an online influencer, been on Fox and Newsmax.
Yep. Yeah, I have. I'm also from LA. I actually grew up in Beverly Hills.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I didn't know that. We
All
didn't talk
right.
about that outside. Okay. So you both California plants. Welcome to the United States of America.
Yeah, exactly. What America's
Lovely
supposed
here.
to be.
Right.
It's so lovely here.
How do you like freedom? It's new in your lives.
It's actually crazy. When I first moved here, one of the things that was so shocking to me was seeing all of those birthday signs in front of people's homes. When they have a child who's turning 7 or something,
Sure.
Alexander 7. I'm like, way to tell all the pedophiles and all the weirdos, because that's how it is in LA.
No way. Oh my goodness. We're going to have to bleep out those words.
Wow.
Just on the clips. Okay. The podcast is fine. That's why we let you guys speak freely.
Yeah.
But I'm the one that handles all
But
the
the fact is, your perspective was such that posting your child's birth age in front of their house for their birthday was like a taboo. Like,
Yeah,
you don't
because
do
why
that.
would you let someone know that you have
Yeah.
children living in that
Wow.
house?
But
Yeah.
we don't know about that
Yeah.
here, so people just do that.
Yeah, it's
They
just
do it.
here.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, wow.
And you're in Dallas proper.
Correct.
Okay. And did you talk about Patriot Pouch?
No.
All
Not
right.
yet.
Go ahead.
So Patriot Pouch, I was a dipper for years, moved to nicotine pouches, but they're just crap. And then
They
I was
are. Dude, nicotine pouches. are
big
terrible.
fan of Tucker Carlson for a while. Then he came out with Alp, was on those. But then you turn over the back of the can and it says produced in India. And I was like, well, that's a problem when your company is American Lip Pillow and you're being produced in India.
Mm.
So I said, I was like, you know what? I want to make an alternative that's actually better than nicotine, that could get you off nicotine, and it's made right here in the USA. So I set out, made Patriot Pouch. We need some more patriotic brands. So
Oh,
got
absolutely.
the American flag right there.
100%.
Okay.
All the names are like, this is We the People Wintergreen. We got the Liberty Mint. We have an orange.
Marketing is on point,
Yeah,
man.
love it.
We have an orange creamsicle flavor that's called Aren't You Glad You're an American? So it's right on point.
That's so.
love
What
it.
is the primary ingredient in a dip substitute product? What would that be?
Yeah, so I'm not trying to get too technical with it.
Sure.
But it's called Nixidine. It's essentially a nicotine analog, which means it will bind to the same nicotine receptors in your body. So you still get the quote unquote buzz people are looking for, that nice, smooth, relaxing feel, but you're not getting the jittery feeling you get, the crash. And studies are going to come out soon. I can't make a health claim, right? Can't make health claims.
Sure.
But what I've noticed myself is it doesn't raise your heart rate, doesn't raise your blood pressure like nicotine does. So if you have those issues, it's the perfect thing to go to because you're still getting the same kind of feel you do with traditional dip nicotine pouches, but you're not getting the downsides.
Wow.
Interesting.
You should try
and,
that.
And the addiction, you break the addiction
Right.
going to it. All right.
Nick, I'm pretty proud of him. He quit cold turkey.
That's great.
So, and that I know that's hard to do, but he had a goal in mind, and I think I badgered him enough to start quitting.
Well, you and the rest of the world. The reality is this: it wasn't you do not quit dipping unless you decide to quit dipping. Like you're not going to start dating someone and then quit dipping, or a doctor's not going to tell you to quit dipping, so you quit dipping.
Yeah.
It's just something you got to do for your own reasons, and it's hard to express that to other people who don't understand.
It's usually a scare that sets you like, maybe I need to get off this stuff.
Yeah, not to get too far on this topic, but you're absolutely right. I think that people who dipped for like 15 years have been thinking about quitting dipping for 15 years. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So those are two new guests. We're gonna get right into it right after we pray, and this is gonna be some fun tonight. By the way, before we do this, Michael, did you get those two videos I sent you? I just sent you another one, so we'll watch them kind of back to back. Lord Jesus, thank you for this time. Thank you for the ability to come here and talk and talk and talk, but I pray that you would give us a lot of viral moments and that you would be glorified in everything we do and say. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All righty. So Alex is an expert on against Islam, and Liz, you have also spoken out against Islam a lot.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy. I've seen the videos.
Yeah.
And she speaks out against Islam.
I'm going to just
And thank
start
God for it.
Yeah, I'm just going to start this with an altercation. Not an altercation. It's more of a happenstance that I had with it recently with another online influencer who's got like 155,000 followers on Instagram, and she responded to one of my videos. I was telling you guys about this. Go ahead and cue that up, Michael, the first one I sent you, and we'll watch that one, and then we'll respond to it. So she was responding to a video that I did when I was talking about a conversation I had with a Muslim on TikTok. Let me know when you're ready, Mike. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is hers. Go ahead and play it. Maybe. Yes. Oh, it's muted at the bottom right. Yeah.
Asked him.
Oh, because I sent you TikTok instead of, I'm sorry, I sent you Instagram instead of TikTok, so that's my bad. But she's responding to a conversation I had with a Muslim on TikTok.
2018. So I simply straight up asked him, so you're telling me that you think it's okay to marry a child as long as it's legal? He tried to deflect and said his religion doesn't allow child marriage. I pointed out one of his historical documents where his prophet married a 6-year-old and consummated the marriage at 9 years old. He immediately said that the you-know-what deed, which is a historical document that I'm talking about, is trash, and that they don't follow that specific document. They followed the Karen. Then he kept asking me where it says that in the Karen. When I reminded him that the you-know-what deed is a major source for his religion's teaching about his prophet, he got defensive and accused me of being brainwashed. He even tried to say that the wife of his prophet, which was the 6-year-old, was 18, and that something is unreliable, which is another historical document that he's talking about. This is the classic pattern whenever you want to debate someone of this religion. It's also a pattern of debating a liberal. When you bring up the primary sources that show their prophet married a 6-year-old, many of them deflect. They also deny or attack the source instead of addressing it. Their historical documents are very clear. By any modern standard, what you read in these historical documents about their prophet marrying a child, it is accurate, and the defense is almost always the same. Move the goalpost or dismiss the evidence. Truth matters more than protecting feelings. We need to be honest about what the text actually said.
Imagine if I came on the internet and openly said on a podcast, considering my platform is about Palestine and Islam and sometimes Christianity, imagine if I went on a podcast and openly said, without any shame or embarrassment, that I had never researched one thing about Palestine, but got all my information from other videos, people who didn't really know much of anything about Palestine, and same thing with Christianity. Imagine if I got all of my sources and all of my knowledge from everything else except the actual source, right? Wouldn't you guys question that? Considering everything we've been taught our entire lives is to look at credible sources, get the information from the source itself, if at all possible. Right. Well, Nick here is someone who has consistently defamed Muslims and talked trash about Muslims all over his platforms, specifically his podcast where he calls them muzzies, and yet he admits in a podcast openly that he has never read the Quran.
He sends to me whenever you show a muzzy. I'm sorry, we had to start saying that.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
He's fantastic. He knows the Quran as well as he knows the Bible.
Wow.
And
that's important for anybody. People need to start reading up on the Quran.
I completely agree. And I'm afraid to read it because that's one of those things I have to kind of prepare my heart for. Like I study the word every day. Like that is my daily Jesus time where I just have to kind of set up for the day. And I couldn't imagine actually studying the Quran. I'm like, I don't want this demonic stuff in my brain.
Well, have you ever read the Quran?
No, I don't want to read it.
I've got some verses on my phone I can read you.
Oh, great.
That I pulled from a video.
Well,
Now, to address the video that I stitched in particular, where Nick apparently spoke to a Muslim man and the Muslim man mentions the fact that 300,000 children in America get married off, and 34 states in America actually do allow child marriage. I would assume that the Muslim man didn't just come up to this Nick guy and openly say that randomly, right? I would assume
He did,
that
actually.
because the same bitch that he has on his podcast, who also makes her entire identity about defaming and slandering Muslims, is the same bitch I called out the other day about giving you guys false
Talking about Kaylee.
information.
That man and that girl are married. Now, it's very common. We all know what the Muslim religion believes, and that includes that child marriage, which is not allowed in the United States, yet happens all the time in Middle Eastern countries. Now, I see a lot of people saying, well, this isn't allowed here. This is illegal in America. And yes, it is. It's very highly illegal.
About the factual part, yeah, there's still plenty of states in America allow child marriage.
Now, Nick, the question for you is, why are you worried about a man from the 7th century and who he married when someone just brought to your attention that here today, they're marrying off children in America? I mean, that is, if you are that concerned about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him,
And no, it's not.
marrying a so-called 6-year-old, if you're that concerned about it, why are you not concerned about the children today? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he actually doesn't give a shit about the kids. That's not what this is about.
Yeah.
No. It's not a coincidence that the two groups of people that he talks the most shit about just happen to be people of color. Do you understand? Of color. This is not about religion. This is not about Aisha's, may Allah be pleased with her, age,
Oh my gosh,
okay?
it's so
This is about race. Because these people are racist, bigot assholes who the racist followers of theirs that watch this shit.
I didn't
would
watch it
not
on this long.
question
I didn't realize
How
it was
much
so
longer
long.
we got to go sit
He's
through this,
getting his
man?
Hang on.
information from scholarly sources. Of course not, because they're all brain dead and brainwashed. They think because they're
How long is this
meatballs and their
video?
papaos
She's put some
told
time
them
in
that
this.
Yeah.
Muslims were all terrorists. That's just the case. Muslims are all terrorists, even though
yes.
this is a 9/11
Yes, they
country,
are.
and it has been proven that 9/11 was false flag.
I mean, we should
All
at
this
least
shit.
play the
now we're-
pause game.
Yeah, okay, you can pause it, Mike.
She's passed like half a dozen points I'd love to talk
Yeah.
about, but y'all
So,
go ahead.
This is
What
your
y'all-
typical Palestine supporter.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
if
yeah.
she went in any Islamic state, how she is dressed and presented herself is haram, and she would be severely punished for that. But she could spout her mouth off here in America because we have the First Amendment. But good luck over there with the country you're supporting so
100%.
heavily.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead, Liz. Go.
I mean, honestly, the only place she could do that is Israel, but she hates them, so
Yeah.
I guess she's screwed.
Yep.
These
Tragic irony.
the logic these people have is just blows my mind.
It's no longer liberal logic. It's something else, and I haven't gotten a good name for it yet.
It's
Yeah,
just
well,
being brainwashed and
Yeah.
I think it's iniquity is what it is. I'll tell you all the story real quick that Nick's heard 100 times, so he's going to roll his eyes and groan. But I was reading the Bible once some years ago, the book of Revelation, and if you've read the book of Revelation, which I'm sure you have, it uses the word iniquity all the time. Like iniquity, iniquitous, the iniquity of so-and-so. And I finally went, what does this iniquity mean? So I looked it up, and it meant all things antithetical to Christian value. And it's like, we can sit here and ask, why does she do this up here on this video? Where does she get her perspective? What does she get her opinions? And we can say, well, it's beyond left. It's beyond liberal. It's got to be something else. It's iniquity, man. That's all it is, in my opinion.
Right.
These people are evil.
It's pure evil.
Yeah.
And, they always like to throw out, you're either racist, Islamophobic, xenophobic, whatever. Call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
And they say, you hate Muslims. No, I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate the person.
No.
I hate the ideology they subscribe to because it's pure evil.
Pure.
And we want to see all of them get out of it.
Yeah.
But it's very hard because what do? If you're an apostate, they kill you. So it's very hard for those people to leave, but they trap them in. And that's evil. You either subscribe to this or you're dead.
Yeah.
Well, and the other issue is that people like her, they don't listen to people who've actually been through it and have escaped it.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I grew up in Beverly Hills. You worked in Beverly Hills. it's a lot of Iranians
Yep.
who are so happy at everything that's going on right now, but she would probably tell them, oh, you guys are wrong. Islam is peaceful.
It's just like your Queers for Palestine movement.
It's like a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's put some statistics behind what she and all I did was ask ChatGPT the question. So, how many child marriages have happened in the US since 2000 and what were the ages?
Right.
Okay? This is the video that I made. So, we're not going to watch that second video, Mike. Total child marriages since 2000. 315,000 minors were legally married in the U.S. from 2000 to 2021. Another estimate is 297 from 2000 to 2018. Bottom line, 300,000 plus child marriages in the U.S. since 2000. Most common ages, 17 years older or higher. Well, I guess 17 years older, 67%. 16 years old, 29%. 15 or younger, 5%. 96% of all those marriages were 16 to 17.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Younger cases, ages 14, 985 cases out of the 315. That's 15. Ages 13, 51 cases. Ages 12, 6 cases. And 10 years old, extremely rare, doesn't even give a number. So, important context is 86% were girls, usually marrying adult men. Typical age gap was 4 years old to the spouse, or 4 years older of the spouse.
So a bunch of 17-year-olds were getting married to 21-year-olds.
Exactly. Right. So many cases involve legal loopholes like parental consent, court approval, or pregnancy expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the context that we're putting all this in. And then I did another search. Okay, compare that to Islamic countries and how many child marriages happen with them since the year 2000. Yeah, this is awesome. It says 300 million since 2000. 300 million.
God, that's how many people are in America.
Do they marry adults?
It's in there. Age globally, most common ages 15 to 17. Under 15, much more common than the U.S., in the millions.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah. So if you just do a side-by-side comparison, since 2000, U.S., 300,000. Global, many Muslim countries included, 300 million. Typical age for the U.S., 16 to 17. Typical age for the other countries, 15 to 17. Under 15 cases, rare in the U.S., in the millions with the Muslim countries.
Insane.
Yeah. And then it says frequency, relatively low in the U.S., but frequency with the Muslim countries, very common in some regions.
Yeah.
So.
And why is it very common? Because Muhammad, peace not be upon him, is seen to be an excellent example of virtue, right? So anything he did is fair game for all of them.
Yeah.
If he did it, he's perfection. We could do it.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting.
Yes.
And people need to call him out. He was a demonic pedophile, but not enough people want to say it. It's like you follow a demonic pedophile that you claim to be a prophet, who even himself says it was demon possessed at one point in the Quran.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're supposed to believe the rest of it, just not the part where he claims to be demon possessed.
Well,
sure.
And if I had to defend them in any way, it didn't say he was demon possessed. It said he felt like he was possessed.
Right.
So, even though it's pretty much the same thing. Do you have any thoughts on this? Her face. That was a classic face. I hope you got that, Michael.
It was very honest.
Because she's disgusted at what we just said. That was great. Anyway, whenever he said he was visited by the angel of light, by the way, what does the Bible describe an angel of light is?
Mm-hmm.
Lucifer. Anyway, I digress. Angel of light visited him.
That's not really a digression, technically.
Shut up, Nick. Lucifer, but angel of light visited him. He said, read the whatever he was trying to make him read, not knowing that Muhammad couldn't write and read. By the way, that's another contradiction that I get. You know, they're like, well, how could Muhammad write the Quran if he couldn't write or read? I'm like, did you just prove my own point? Like by your argument? I mean, come on. So he couldn't read or write. He said he felt like he was possessed, and he also felt like he wanted to commit suicide.
Sounds like the average student at a Leering Center.
Leering Center.
I love. Have you ever read the Sunnah?
The Sunnah. What is that? One of the historical documents?
So basically, like the stuff he recorded about what he was going through at the time.
Okay.
But he talks about, I'm being mocked, I'm being ridiculed. It's like, yeah, because you're crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what people thought of him initially until he got enough of a following and then went into the violent stages of it.
Right. It's I'm trying to figure out because I don't understand how someone can follow this religion. But I've grown up with Jesus. Like I came to know Jesus when I was 7. The peace that comes from that, I've known that for a long time. But I've also proven it.
Right.
Like I've proven it true. Historical documents and done my own research into it, and I just don't understand how someone can follow something so opposite.
Why do you think they keep them illiterate?
So
they can't read it themselves. Most Muslims have never read the Quran. And, it's great. If you ever debate a Muslim and you say, I've read the Quran, and they say, well, did you read it in Arabic? No. Well, you didn't read the true Quran. That's always the default. You didn't read the true Quran. It's like, well, you haven't either. Most of you have never read it. That's why your imams preach it and tell you what to believe, but you don't read it yourself.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so you just get indoctrinated in that culture and that society. And it's like, I mean, I feel bad for some of them because it's like, what chance do you have?
Yeah.
You're just, from day one, you're brought into this death cult. And
gosh, it just doesn't make any sense. Like
yeah, exactly. I dated one of my ex-girlfriends from several years ago. We would talk. She belonged in California. I mean, she probably took one of y'all's place. I hope she did anyway. But anyway, yes. So we would talk about the Islamic problem and the Muslims. And this is 8 years ago. Like this, even back then, you could start to see it coming because we were growing up knowing what the Chuck Norris terrorists were. They were all Muslim, right? And so you kind of go, oh yeah, Islam. I don't know what it is, but it's not good. So she and I would argue about Muslims all the time, and I would ask her the same questions we're asking here today. Like, why are they like that? Why are they doing that? Why, without any knowledge or understanding, the question remained, right? And her answer was always, well, they grew up in it. It's just all they know. It's what they know, as if that was some sort of, as if that was an answer to the question, right? As if that legitimized why they were the way they were. And so I think when you ask the question, why are they like that? Who would believe in this religion? I think it's because they just don't have a cross-pollination. They don't have anything to compare it to. They don't have any.
But they're so good. They're so good at brainwashing because, for one, they're good at brainwashing, and they're. I'm sorry for using this word, Nick, and I'm apologizing for you and me. They're extreme narcissists, is what they are.
Right.
Because what does a narcissist do? They
don't have to apologize to me.
I'm just saying, because it's a very liberal word, and I'm just tired of hearing it. But when it comes to...
They do overuse that word a lot.
They do, yeah. But when it comes to like how a narcissist acts, is they always blame you or accuse you of doing something that they're doing.
Right.
And so, which is like the base of Islam.
Yeah. But I would say the biggest thing is if you didn't grow up in an Islamic state and that was your state religion that imposed on you, if you're an American and you convert to Islam, you're usually converting because you're a degenerate and you're justifying your criminal behavior. That's why Islam is the fastest growing, quote unquote, religion in the prison system. Because why? You're a victim. You're a victim in here. You shouldn't be in here for what you did.
Wow.
Because under Islam, that was permittable. Oh, you raped a woman? That would be permittable under Islam for what you did.
Gosh, I never put that together.
Whatever, XYZ. But violence is a huge one.
Yeah.
It's like I could be violent in the name of Islam. That's all. I just have to follow that. So you suck these people in. It's like, no, I'm a victim. I shouldn't be in prison. My religion now tells me that I was on the right side of things.
Wow.
Well, also, you notice a lot of these like American women who are now like converting to Islam because they think women are so easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy.
I love that she said that. I love that she said that.
Yeah.
Like
It's
we
true.
didn't say that. You said that,
True.
which is the only woman on the podcast right now. Thank you for saying that.
Women are very easy to manipulate, and Islam is very good at manipulation. So you see all these women who are like, oh, I converted. I feel so amazing. I feel so free. I'm like, your entire face is covered. Like, how do you feel free?
Another one of those tragic ironies.
Idiots. It's like, you have to be fucking retarded to convert to
You
Islam.
guys can speak freely. Like, speak freely.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think you're
I don't understand how a woman could convert to Islam.
Yeah.
Especially because you claim to be feminist, most of them that
Mhm.
convert.
Mm-hmm.
You have no freedom under Islam.
None. But it's
Women
like
are
they
treated
held
terribly.
that back, you know, like like this girl right here that we just responded to or just reacted to. I'm baffled that she can't like do some common sense thinking and be like, what?
Yeah.
Common sense ain't
baffled by
so
that?
common.
Right. Yeah, it's ethics and the fact
that's the grace in me that's trying to understand, and it's
it's
not
the
coming
fact that they don't have any ethics. Like they'll make up all of this stuff about American Western males that's bad, you know, and horrible. Like they're controlling, and they, you know, it's what is it, patriarchal? Oh my god!
Gosh, someone says patriarchal one more time. I'm gonna.
Well, that's I'm quoting.
No, I'm talking about them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, every time I hear it, I just my blood curdles because it's a ridiculous argument to make.
Yeah.
And then convert to Islam. It's because,
they make all these arguments and then they convert to it.
yeah, it's ethics, man.
Yeah, and most of those Muslim guys are gay anyway, so.
Whoa, wait.
That's another
This is
path
not
we
something
could
I've
go
heard
down.
before.
You've never heard?
Oh my God,
this?
never?
Never heard this before.
Oh, my best friend lives in Riyadh, and she's lived there for like 7 years, and so many of her friends are gay, but they're all secretly gay. They're all gay.
And they're all Islam?
Well, because
Yeah.
under Islam, gay is punishable by death.
Yeah.
But if you needed to relieve yourself as a man,
Oh my gosh.
it's disgusting. This is how demonic they are. You could relieve yourself with a male boy or an animal.
What?
That's why they fuck goats.
Yeah. So do you know who Nick Irving is? Have you ever heard of him?
I've heard of Nick.
He was
Irving, yeah.
a sniper in the army.
Oh, that's why I've
Written
heard
a
of
bunch of books.
Yeah.
You should pull up the clip. There's an interview where he's like, most of them they have to either be gay or bisexual. He's like, we go into numerous houses and see this stuff going on.
Whoa, dude. Oh my God. I need to
I
get a
heard
lot
it.
more military people on this podcast just to give that account.
Yeah,
You know,
I heard a
'cause lot of people
story
don't wanna
once
hear that.
from a former, I don't know if he was former Muslim or if he was actually, he wasn't former, he must have been a Muslim, but he knew of a bus, and I don't know, Riyadh or one of the Muslim cities over there, that a bunch of Muslim men would drive around in this bus and get young-looking other Muslim men,
Oh my God.
like
This is starting to really.
boyish-looking men, and because they just wanted to, like, I guess, be relieved.
I'm going to be doing
Which-
so much editing on these clips.
Oh man.
Why? Why edit any of it?
No, I have to on the clips.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
On the clips. On the
Yeah.
clips. Yeah, the clips.
Yeah, the clips, not the wide one. The wide one's fine.
Yeah, but I mean,
So you're basically
you
just saying they're not just gay, but this is like through you're saying that they're gay. You're also saying they're pedophiles and what's the word for bestiality or just bestiality?
Bestiality.
Yeah.
Is there a word like
I
if
mean,
you're
all of it. Every disgusting thing we see as disgusting and demonic is acceptable.
it's acceptable in Islam? That's a shocker. That's one I didn't know yet.
The gay?
The gay.
Oh my
and
God, no, they're all gay.
Like the way you said it very valid.
So just
oh my God, no, they're all
just being horny over there is dangerous. Then I guess it's like
Yeah, if you're a young boy, yeah.
if you're a young boy
If you're anyone, you can't be horny.
or a
They're-
goat.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Poor guy.
Okay. So, is there actually in the documents, so the Quran, the Hadith, the one that you spouted off,
The
with
Sunnah.
the Sunnah, is there something in there that actually says that they can relieve themselves that way?
Yeah, it's in one of them. I can't tell you off the top
Okay.
of my head.
Um,
Or it's been an interpretation from one of these Islamic scholars that they rely on too.
okay. Someone else asked a question while I will look this up. Go ahead, Nick. No? Okay.
Goodness. So
Yeah, where do we go from there?
yeah, where do we go from there? 13 years of being a police officer.
Yes.
Did you ever come across any Muslims that
I mean, all the
made an
time.
impression?
All the time, but nothing that stuck out. But again, ever since, I want to say since 9/11, what have we been taught? It's the radical. It's radical Islam.
Sure. Yeah.
And good old California with, having to indoctrinate you in every piece of garbage there is.
Yeah.
Sent me to some leadership training for 3 weeks. And the last week was we had to visit, some transsexual, some LGBTQ center, a mosque, and that was the most interesting one. Because if you've never been to a mosque, I encourage you to go to your local mosque and check it out, because they're built like military bases.
That's
high walls, lots of security. They'll escort you around. And again, it falls in line with, you've heard the term taqiyya. When you talk to a Muslim, especially an imam at a mosque, they're going to just preach to you, oh, it's all about love. It's about peace. It's about taking care of one another. They will not tell you a single thing that comes later on in the Quran about the warfare, about the jihad.
So let me ask you about this. Speaking of mosques, and I believe you're right. Actually, Nick and I did go visit a mosque not too long ago because they are having a mayoral event go on. And we were curious, for the same reasons that most people would go to a mosque, just curious to check it out, visit the enemy, get their stronghold. But it was brought to our attention that mosques might be being used in the United States as armories, like that there's weapons. And
100%.
Really?
I always say the mosque is nothing more than a forward operating base for jihad. And you could go back, the FBI has statistics. They have found mosques that are hiding weapons, that are conducting weapons training with its members. So it's like, yeah. And that's why I get so frustrated with we're going to ban Sharia. It's like, great. You could put that you're making Sharia legal on paper. Is there any enforcement behind it? No, because guess what? They're still going to adjudicate it in the mosque.
Yep.
Through Sharia tribunals. It's like, we're doing nothing by saying you're not going to
we're screwed.
Practice Sharia here. And Sharia encompasses so much. Hey, we're going to ban Sharia outright. Okay, well, you saying, they can't eat halal meat anymore? Are you saying that if a woman decides to wear a hijab, she can't? Because it's all part of Sharia. So it's a political theater. It's like, we have to get to the root cause. It's Islam. Stop treating the symptom, just like, in medicine. We have to go after the cause. The cause is Islam. And we got to redefine it. It's not a religion. It's a totalitarian political system.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to target.
Yeah.
If we could get someone with a backbone and a spine in Washington, I mean, obviously it would go through tons of legal battles, but at least put it forward and say, hey, we're going to strip them of their 501c3 status. They are not a religious institution anymore. They are a political ideology that stands in stark opposition to our Constitution and our government. And it's not going to be allowed anymore. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people could have seen Iran before and after.
Yeah.
And not think to themselves, oh, wait, this is bad. We shouldn't allow this. Because now we have over 50 mosques that have been built in Texas in the past,
2 years.
The Dallas area.
2 years. Yeah.
2 years.
In the past 2 years, over 50 mosques have gone up in just the DFW area alone.
And it's
what do you mean? Explain about what you mean by before and after. Are you talking about before the Ayatollah or before the most recent events?
Before the Ayatollah. So 47 years ago, or let's say 48 years ago, women in Iran were walking around and it looked like it was the California of the Middle East.
Yeah.
They had Hollywood, not Hollywood. They had movie studios. It was a booming place. You felt like you were in LA.
Yeah.
And now, I mean.
Yeah, and now look at it.
No wonder they want it back so bad.
All right, I don't mean to rain some bad news on the conversation, but there is nothing in the Quran, the Hadith, or anything else that actually references the relief.
I think it's like I think it's an Islamic scholar that used some interpretation, but it's one of the works that they use.
Okay, because I'm asking Grok and ChatGPT.
They're both trash. They're both trash.
Because ChatGPT turned me down right away. But when it comes to Grok, it was actually giving me the stuff without saying I can't do this for you. So it doesn't actually give any kind of reference of like what you can do. It speaks very. Like even it says about masturbation or general sexual desire when marriage is not possible. Classical scholars recommend fasting as a shield, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're in a shield here, like they're shielding us.
Right.
From this.
Speaking about Grok, have you noticed now that it's shifting to be more?
No, don't tell me it's going to be more like
to
ChatGPT.
Protect Islam. Like I've asked it to do certain things, like hey, create an image of this. No, we cannot do that.
No,
and it's
really
so much for freedom on there.
So. I was told by a friend of ours that's in tech. He actually holds the patent for liking and posting. Yeah, we're connected, bro. But I asked him, what's the difference between ChatGPT and Grok? And he's like, oh, one's liberal, one's Republican. And I'm like, It's a good way to explain it. And so I started using Grok that way. I would ask ChatGPT questions that I knew that it would, give me a kickback on.
Okay, so apparently I was talking to another person. They said that anytime that ChatGPT refuses to say something, she just says, "Shut the fuck up," and then it'll like she types out STFU, and it'll do it. It'll then tell her. So
I've noticed, like, whenever I start,
so she hurts its feelings. And it starts talking.
No, I've noticed that whenever I'm trying to get it to do something, and it's something very simple, like, hey, I made you create this picture. Why can't you do this one little thing? Where I'm saying remove this one little thing. Why can't you do this? Or it'll just start giving me a link instead of the actual picture.
Oh yeah.
And I'll say, why haven't you created the picture yet? And then it'll start creating the picture.
Like, it likes it when you're mean.
Yeah, I guess it's
kinky.
I was about to say it's a woman who likes things kinky. Not that I'm of that nature. Just saying, I just like stuff to be done when I ask for it to be done.
Oh, that's funny.
So we don't have any proof.
That's wild.
So I'm just for the the trolls out there.
Right.
We don't have any proof of that claim. Not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I can't find proof. So it's all alleged right now.
I think that because I do know that a lot of them are secretly gay. I think it's just because they're so oppressed. They can't drink. They can't do anything. They may as well just other dudes.
Yeah, your friend
I censored myself.
Okay. This is the best part about talking about encounters with Muslims when I worked over in California.
Yeah.
Is in the summers, you'd probably
Saudi
seen this.
summer.
Saudi summer.
What?
All
They go
the
shopping.
royalty money, they come spend the whole summer in California. They ship their cars over, everything. And guess what? Are they following Sharia?
No.
Oh no, they are.
Prostitutes, drugs, drinking, everything you could think of. It's like their Disneyland. It's everything's fair.
Okay, so everything that you guys are claiming are more of, it sounds like personal accounts
Oh yeah.
of what you're claiming.
Well, I've
right?
never seen a,
I do.
yeah.
I know you've never seen that, but
I mean, I've never
'cause-
watched.
Are you ex-military?
No,
just ex-law enforcement.
correct.
Okay, so your personal accounts are coming from California and talking about the Saudi summers, which, what?
Oh, okay. So I know why. They come, one, obviously, to like drink and whatever and have fun, but also everything in Saudi is so expensive. So like any luxury goods that you want to buy, extremely, extremely expensive over there.
Really?
It's insane. My friend who lives
Saudi
there,
Arabia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
she goes to Paris. She'll come here just to go shopping. Like if you go to Zara, let's say a top here is $40. Over there, it's like $100.
Oh,
Wow.
interesting.
Okay, so it's a lot more cost efficient to come to California of all places.
So do they run around with their head scarves and their like
Dresses?
I don't know what you'd call them.
Some of them, but mostly the women. The men, they
the
can
men
do whatever
just
they want.
hit Californian street clothes and go to like topless bars and
Pretty much
drink
Pretty- yeah.
beer.
drive their cars around.
And
a lot
wear
of them
way
have
too much
diplomatic
cologne.
immunity.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Oh, so they can just do whatever the heck they want.
pretty much.
Wow.
You could smell them coming a mile away because they drench themselves in oud.
Oud?
Yeah, like that. I mean, you've
Don't know what
Yeah,
oud.
they all
It's
have
like
a
a
distinct smell.
Yeah. Well,
Well, what is oud?
It's
It's
not
a,
just them. It's
like
the
a
other ones
perfume.
as
It's
well.
like a scent. It smells.
I want to
good.
say Indians, but yeah,
Really?
that one of my followers came in my DMs and they're like, "Why do they always have BO? Like, why do they always have BO?" And I'm like, I don't know, but I can relate because I was an Uber driver for like 4 months,
Oh yeah.
and every time someone of that nature got in, I was like, really? It's not that hard. Like, it's not that hard. Like, like
food also.
yeah, it's the type of food they eat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of curry. And so if we want to move right into the H-1B visa situation, we can move right into that because that, would you guys say, because you said Islam is the greatest threat.
Right.
Numbers wise, the Indians are far more vast.
I would say physical threat, violent threat is Islam.
Right.
Because, Indians, they're here.
Yeah.
They're not violent.
Yeah.
But they're taking our jobs. They're not assimilating when they come over here.
Right.
It's like we've lost our American culture and identity.
Yeah.
And I always like to say, like, there's nothing wrong with your culture, but if I want to experience it, I'll go to your country.
Exactly.
I don't need it here.
Yeah.
It makes me sick. Like every major state, city, they've got their like, oh, Koreatown, Little China, Little Ethiopia, whatever it is. It's like, I don't want that here.
No.
Just keep it in America. If I want to experience that, I'll go to your country.
Yeah.
But just keep it out. If you want to come to America to become an American, great. We're more than willing to have you. But don't bring your garbage with you, especially the third world garbage. Like, that's not what we need.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like, you want to make a first world country like your third world country.
That you escaped.
That you just got out of. Right.
Yeah.
It makes sense for Islam because, their whole goal is to conquer the entire world for one solid caliphate.
Which they're very vocal about.
Yeah, exactly. And we're just so stupid as Americans of just allowing our enemy to walk among us. Like, hey, no, it's because of freedom. Okay, we got to cut that out. They're not here for freedom. They're not here to assimilate. They're here to conquer us eventually. Yeah. And they play the long game. When people are, it's a different type of Islam. No, it is not. They're in a different stage of Islam here. Once they get the numbers, they get into power, and we're seeing it. School boards, city councils, mayors, Congress.
Yeah.
They're working their way up, and they're getting there.
Yeah. Did you hear what happened in Australia? Just like within the last 24 to 48 hours?
Insane. But that's what happens when Islam starts taking power. Yeah. They're going to go after.
Are you familiar with this?
People that?
No, what happened?
We're in the.
I forget his name, but he was the most decorated Australian soldier in Australian history.
Okay.
They just arrested him for war crimes from back in 2009 and 2012.
Yeah.
What?
Murder. For murder.
For like being in war?
For being in war. They said that he committed war crimes with some of these killings. And now they're trying to basically hang this guy who fought for his country. But Australia is basically like the UK when it comes to Islam.
I didn't know that.
They protect them and, pander to them left and right.
I knew the UK has fallen. I didn't know Australia had fallen.
Yeah. And then there's another guy, I forget his name.
Australia is very left. Yeah. But that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about something completely different. But go ahead.
Did you see that one, though? About that guy?
Now that you mention it, I think I saw it on your channel, actually.
Yeah.
Where they arrested this guy for what would essentially be war crimes.
Yeah.
While he was fighting a war against Muslims.
Yeah, and then there's another guy who was an SAS soldier out of the UK who they have murder charges up against him right now too for the same thing. And it's like, well, no wonder when you put Islamists in power, what are they going to do? They're going to go after the people that were killing their people.
Wow. Yeah. So they're saying that they've murdered people because they killed people in war whenever they were in war.
Violated the rules of engagement or whatever they want to claim.
Man, I'm gonna have to look these stories up because that. I can't believe I haven't covered this. Oh my goodness.
It's also not surprising because Islam completely bans you from going against Islam.
Yeah.
So if you speak out against it, they will just kill you.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other thing when people that John Guandolo guy I told you about, the former FBI agent, he's written some great books on Islam and on Sharia, and he talks about, I think it was back in 2017 when Trump went overseas to either Saudi Arabia or something, and they were both giving speeches, and he says translating English into Sharia. So you have this prince or whatever he is, and he's standing up there saying, we oppose terrorism. Well, terrorism in Islam and Sharia is non-Muslims killing Muslims. So he's saying, we oppose you killing our people. And then he says, we want peace. Well, as we know, peace is only accomplished in Islam when they rule the whole world.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but is it peace then?
So they say these things and they want stupid people to buy into it. Like, no, they're against terrorism. They just want peace. It's like, it's a completely opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Peace and terrorism we're talking about.
So did you hear about and I'm sure you have, it's the internal memo that the FBI found for the Muslim Brotherhood back in 1991.
Oh yeah.
And it literally laid out their entire plan, and everything that they laid out in that internal memo, you see, especially in Texas, you see happening right now. They want to get into the organizations. They want to get into schools. They want to, start building mosques. They want to, get into local government, like councils and it's just happening.
Yeah.
You said Americans pretty much are at fault for this because we're letting that happen. I think it goes a little deeper. I think Christians are at fault for this.
Well, yeah, we've remained way too silent.
Yeah,
way too
lazy,
especially in politics. There's some crazy statistic like 60% of evangelical Christians don't vote.
Oh my gosh!
But then you're concerned when all this LGBTQ crap comes out and everything.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, you're not voting.
Exactly.
You're sitting home and not voting. It's like, we were never called to sit back and just be run over.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're called to oppose evil, to expose it, to fight back against it. But we've sat back and just been railroaded for years.
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, why is this happening? Well, I could tell you why it's happening. You're not voting and you're not confronting this stuff. You're not speaking up against it.
No one in today's Christian world would be able to handle Jesus turning over tables. They would say, oh, he's not walking in love.
Yeah.
And I want to slap those people.
The whole love thing just pisses me off because it's like, well, that's not loving. Okay, the love that's described in there, God is love, right?
Right.
The way we're called to love is speaking his truth to you.
Exactly.
Not some affectionate love like I'm gonna affirm the sin you're in and say everything's good, we love you. No, I'm gonna tell you where you're wrong because God wants us, he wants to see you saved.
Right.
At the end of the day, God wants to see everybody come to the realization of who he is and accept him as their Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to see anyone go to hell. What does he want us to do? Speak his truth to them.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's where the love comes in. I love you enough to tell you the truth so you don't go to hell.
Yeah.
See I'm glad to hear you say that because when the woke pastor was on, we tend to reference that episode from time to time. When he was on, he talked
wait
about
to have him back on.
yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a good conversation. But he talked about love your neighbor, and he talked about love your enemy, and I wouldn't say confronted him on it. But I told him I don't know what that means. Like
Nick has struggled with that too. Like
love your neighbor.
We've had several conversations.
Yeah, love your enemy is not something I'm willing to do based on my understanding of love. Now, the guy that was on last time, Michael Pagano, he talked about there being different forms of love. You got eros,
right?
You've got agape, you've got phileo, and then there's a fourth one. And man, that really kind of cleared it up for me. Still don't see me loving my enemy though, because right now, the version of love your enemy is let them come over and enjoy our freedoms and liberties. And then when they try to cut your head off, you'll realize the love isn't being reciprocated.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I have such a problem with
let me see if I can.
What you just said, though, hold on, Nick, just for a second.
Right.
What you just said is an interesting concept. We should love our enemy enough to speak God's truth to them.
Right.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like that's
well,
why didn't the woke pastor just say that?
Does it fit his narrative? And we always hear pray for your enemies, pray for your elected leaders.
Yeah.
It says pray for them. It doesn't say pray good things to happen to them.
Yeah.
Hey, I pray that
I pray a car falls.
That there's a reckoning in their lives where they come to either know you and repent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or do what you have to do to them to, render your justice.
I say a very simple prayer for people of that affinity or that nature, and I say, Lord, bless them. If blessing them means you wrecking them, great, bless them that way, because that's going to be a blessing. If blessing them means you're going to bless them financially and that wrecks them or that gets them to come to know you, great, bless them. But I keep it very simple. Lord bless them.
I just like to pretend that they're dead. Just like, oh, you don't exist anymore in my world. Sorry.
No, I
makes it easy.
But I'm Jewish.
Yeah. I heard a great pastor say one time, like, some of these people need to be prayed into the hands of the devil for them to wake up and repent of their ways.
That's interesting.
And it's true because, like, before I came to Christ, I had to hit kind of like a rock bottom personally, where I figured out, like, hey, I'm not in control of my life.
Yeah,
there is something more. I don't know everything.
Yeah,
but sometimes he's going to let you fall to a place where you'll come to him.
Yeah, James 1, man. Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds.
Yeah.
Right.
So my brother once said it. He goes, Nick, I'm about to hit rock bottom and it better hurt. And I thought, how wise is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, he only disciplines the ones he loves.
Yeah.
That's actually scripture. Yeah. Is that Proverbs? No, that's Psalms. What is it?
It's one of them.
Okay. This is why we have Grok.
I always tell people, as long as you know what it says, does it really matter?
It doesn't matter the reference.
It's always been, or whatever it comes. No.
Always been one of my biggest hiccups. I can quote to you James 1, 2 through 4, just because that's one that I kind of live by. Consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work in you, so that you may be made mature and complete, not lacking anything. I memorized that from a very long time ago age, like 10 or 12 years ago, and it stuck with me because it's something to live by, because he even says you will face trials. But what do you do in trials? You consider it pure joy. Mm-hmm. You be thankful about it because there is an end goal to this.
Right.
But I'm also with you on that. Like, as long as it's correct of what the scripture says, knowing where it actually says it, I'm not a big stickler on that.
It's like, well, one, there was no chapters and verses back when this was recorded. So it's like, you're really going to hang me up on that?
It says in the Bible.
Yeah.
And then I go into whatever scripture. But you said something that just caught my ear. You're Jewish.
I am.
Yeah.
Everyone hates me.
So, from a Jewish perspective,
when Christians crazy?
Well, hang on. When Christians start talking, because this is 3 Christians and 1 Jewish woman. How does it make you feel whenever we talk this way?
I mean, I think it's interesting. I actually went to church on Easter Sunday with some friends. I'm a very open Jew. I'm not open to Islam. I'm a mildly open Jew.
That's great. That's a good correction there.
My mom was born Catholic, and she converted before I was born. So
converted
to Judaism.
Judaism, okay.
Yeah, before my brother and I were born. And depending on who you ask, some people would say that I'm not Jewish. Other people would say that I am Jewish, because the people who convert always tend to end up being more religious and more Jewish.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I mean, my parents divorced when I was a baby. So much backstory.
Wow.
Oh my God.
It's all good. Hey, we're talking.
But my dad lives in France and he's Jewish. Oh. So I would visit him twice a year. And my mom wasn't really religious, but I was raised in Beverly Hills with all my Jewish friends. So I've always, I hate this, I'm not going to say identified as Jewish. It sounds
That's a very liberal thing to say.
It's like masochism, or masochist.
But I've always just been open to hearing everything. So I mean, you guys aren't saying anything that sounds crazy to me. I have some questions. I asked my friends at church, I was like, so when he rose, was he naked? His clothes were still on the thing.
Good question.
I'm so curious.
That's a great question.
I also thought that when he resurrected, he just turned back into a human, which apparently is not at all what happened. He was some sort of ghost, but then that makes no sense to me, because I'm then he didn't resurrect.
Okay.
So I have so many questions.
I'm so going to answer these right now.
I was gonna say, we have answers for these.
So when it comes to Jesus' resurrection, by the way, it's all provable.
Yes.
It's not just provable by the text, but also by the historical things that we've recovered from that resurrection. I don't know,
Shroud of
Turin. Oh my,
Turin.
Shroud of Turin.
That's very interesting when you go down.
That whole, if you just Google that and just look at all the historical findings and the absolute evidence that points to Jesus, you probably won't have any more questions. But I like your questions because they're interesting. Was he naked? Here's what I say. We use the word resurrected for a very good reason, because he had to resurrect in human form. That's why whenever he appeared to the disciples, put your finger in my hands, put it in my side, because those wounds were still there. They could see them clearly.
Yeah.
So he had a resurrected body, which is no longer like his old body. But he had to do that because he had to conquer death. He took on the sin of the world, past, present, and future. All of the sin, which is the one miracle in history that can never be repeated, because it only had to happen once. A lot of people ask me, how are people in the Old Testament saved? I am so glad I had a mentor that told me how this happens. Because if you draw a line, and then you put right in the middle of the line the cross, and then you put on one side David and everybody in the Old Testament, and on the other side is us. They looked forward to the cross. We look back to the cross. The cross is timeless. By the way, speaking of Islam, I know, a real good transition here. Our symbol is a cross. Theirs is a sword. If you look at the tribulation of how Revelations talks about tribulation, it says that whenever you don't accept the mark of the beast, you will be beheaded. How does Islam take the lives of the people who won't convert?
Right.
So it's going to be Islam that leads the tribulation.
Yeah. That's where I'm at with it.
But I'll say this, when it comes in, I would love for you to, if you have any other questions,
I have so many questions.
Yeah, so many. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, like, why do so many Christians hate Jews right now?
It's not. I wouldn't say it's hate Jews. I think
a lot of them.
I think it's more.
You guys want to see my my comments on my?
No, hang on. Well, it's because you're very open about being Jewish. I think what they're falling victim to is the media propaganda.
Yeah.
You know, and because a lot we had
it's Chrislam. It's what they're calling Chrislam now, and the Catholic Church is a major proponent behind that.
Okay, let's hear about it.
Really?
Oh man, where do we let's just say this current pope is kind of fully on board with Islam. He's already made statements how
then he's fallen
multiple ways. The Vatican now has a Muslim prayer room.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know these things.
So how are we going to usher in a one world religion? Well, the Catholic Church and Islam teaming up. That's a pretty good way to do that. But yeah, I would say it's a minority of Christians that have subscribed to this, but they're getting all the attention. And I don't understand it. I mean, you could disagree with the government all you want.
Yeah.
We disagree with our own government.
Yeah.
But to blame an entire people and say they don't have a right to their land, it's like, let's go back to Genesis, where it says it's an everlasting covenant.
Yeah.
And they only have a fraction of the land that they're entitled to. Because if you look up Canaan, what Canaan actually is, it's massive.
Oh, yeah.
We're telling them they can't have the small piece they're in.
Yeah.
And that they're the evil ones. It's like, you could separate the government from the people all day long.
Exactly.
But they want to lump the people and the government together.
Exactly.
Could you imagine? I would be pissed off if someone was like, we hate all Americans because Obama. It's like, well, hey, I don't like Obama either.
Yeah.
It's like, don't put me into that. But that's what we're doing with everybody else.
Yeah. I want to give a story of a leader that I had. He was a Jewish leader, and I traveled in ministry with him, but he always presented himself and he looked Jewish. You know what I mean? Like tall, dark skin, big nose, bushy hair. He just looked very Jewish.
I mean, the tall part is not very Jewish looking.
he was tall. He was like 6'5".
Okay.
But he would. This is how he would introduce himself whenever he would get up and speak in front of the congregation. He's like, I know I look Jewish. I have big nose, bushy hair, very dark complected skin, and then he would say, "I'm a completed Jew," and it's because
that's good.
Jesus is his Lord. Because everything that the Jews believe is all Old Testament.
He noticed that he saw how Jesus fulfilled all those prophecies.
Exactly.
So he's completed.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, I loved him for it. Even though him and I butted heads left and right when it comes to leadership, because I was a worship leader and he was a speaker. But I loved how he always introduced himself that way, because he always said he was a completed Jew. And I'm like, man, that's fantastic. But I will say this. Jesus rising from the dead, just that alone, resurrecting, it fulfills over 300 prophecies from the Old Testament. And the Old Testament is the main text for Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he literally, by that, completed and fulfilled over 300 prophecies. Over 300. The statistics of that happening is astronomically low. So that he did it with one action. I mean, that sells it for me.
Is that very well known in the Jewish community? Like, does the Jewish community ever talk about?
I'm so bad at being Jewish, you guys. I love my people. I will fight to the death for us, but I am awful at it.
Really?
Yeah.
Or would you say that you're Jewish by birth as opposed to, because you never converted to Judaism, you were born to Jewish parents?
Yeah. So I'm Jewish by birth, and I will sometimes do the high holidays depending on how I weigh like 87 pounds, guys. I'm not trying to fast.
Do you really?
I do. You guys
like you weigh 87 pounds?
87 pounds.
That is a podcast on its own.
Yeah, you don't need to be
like
fasting.
87 pounds.
I don't need to be fasting. I will sometimes do Passover. I didn't do it this year.
Yeah.
Not that I eat a ton of bread anyway, but I love my pasta. I would say that I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
And like, people ask me, is it important for you to marry a Jewish man? And I have a really hard time with that, because I would love to, but I would like to find a Jewish man who's as Jewish as I am.
Or not as
or
Jewish.
Who's as accepting to me, who's accepting me. So I like shellfish. I like bacon.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm probably going to get canceled by all the Jewish influencers, but I also enjoy celebrating Christmas and Hanukkah And it has nothing to do with the religious aspect. I just like to celebrate things, and I think it's pretty.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just a girl,
woman.
guys.
Very, very woman.
Yeah.
I will say this. I love Jewish people. I love Muslims. This is something that a Christian can say that a Muslim can't.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because I think it was, was it Charlie Kirk's mentor? I don't know. Someone was doing a video and he was talking to a Muslim. He's like, I can actually say this. I love you.
Right.
Like, I love you. Can you say it back? And he said he couldn't because his text says he can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes, just you strip everything off of Islam, Christianity, Judaism, is when it comes down to like, I can say that I love you, but you can't say it back.
Right.
That's enough for me, you know? And so, but if I had to give you some hard evidence of Jesus, you can look at the 4 Gospels as historical documents because they are not someone saying, I saw this. These are scribes writing down what Jesus did and said. And so if that's true, which it is, these are historical evidence of eyewitness accounts. And how many witnesses in a court of law do you have to prove something true? That's it. It's not a rhetorical question. I'm asking.
Oh, I'm asking him.
Oh.
Well, like in the Bible, it always goes with 2 or 3.
Even today, it's 2 or more.
Yep.
So how many? We already have 4 because 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Guess how many were recorded that actually saw Jesus ascend into the heavens?
I'm going to say 12.
500.
That's a lot more than 12.
500 saw. And this is not just the Bible historical documents. There's other historical documents that have recorded the same thing.
Wait, so when he resurrected, did he beam up like in that movie, This Is the End?
It said he ascended into the heavens. And I think there was a cloud of, or not a cloud. What do they call a chorus of angels? That like, that were praising, and everything whenever he ascended into the heavens.
Well,
So
you could even go, so when he was on the cross, it says there was 3 hours of darkness, right? Even Chinese writings have recorded that the earth went dark for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So even cultures that are not even close to one another are putting out the same historical facts that happened at that time.
They do that throughout the entire Holy Bible, even the Old Testament. Like there isn't a religious text in the world, I don't think, that doesn't have something to do with a great flood.
Right.
Like they witnessed the great flood over in South America, where they have all these sort of eclectic religions writing about the flood.
Why doesn't anything cool happen anymore? Like,
oh, it does.
No, we're getting near to it.
Yeah. Can I tell you about something that I stumbled across? And I've been studying the word for decades. I'm 43, and so that's 4 decades. At least 3 of those I've been. No, let me not lie. 25 years at least. Okay, that I've been studying the word. And how many times I've read the New Testament, I've lost track. And there was one time I was on the road and I came across Matthew 27, starting at verse 51. And this is the story that everyone talks about because it was about the veil that was torn in two. By the way, the veil that separated the holy place from, people who aren't holy was said to be like 3 feet thick. This is a rug.
And massive.
Like
super tough.
Rug. Can you imagine a rug being 3 feet thick? Like it's that kind of, it's cloth. And it said that whenever he finally died, verse 51, at the moment the curtain of the temple was torn in 2 from top to bottom. So in other words, that was a symbolism. Whenever he died, now we have access to the Holy of Holies. Everyone preaches on that.
Mm-hmm.
You go to any Resurrection Sunday, they're going to preach about the veil being torn in 2. I've heard it my whole life. I grew up a pastor's kid. Why the next verses didn't stick out to me, I'll never understand. But it wasn't until a certain moment in time that God revealed this to me. And it said in 52, and the tombs broke open. Mm-hmm. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people.
Yes.
Even in his death, he was raising people who had been in the tombs for I don't know how many years to life. Not to mention Lazarus, one of the biggest miracles he ever did. He raised some, and he did it on purpose. He let Lazarus sit in the freaking tomb for 4 days. No one's going to come back from the dead after being in the tomb and decaying for 4 days. These are recorded. I am sorry. I am so in preacher mode. I apologize.
No,
this is my ministerial background coming out, but this verse always gets to me because no one preaches on this.
Right.
In his death, he was raising people from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still like, it still blows my mind. Anyway,
I want to say too, like, I think a lot of Christians today, they don't spend enough time in the Old Testament.
Oh, they don't.
They just like disregard it.
Oh,
it's like, yeah, it happened, but it's like, no, so much key stuff is in there that you should know, especially to see that the prophecies have been fulfilled. So it's crazy to me that it's just so disregarded and people just want to sit in the New Testament over and over again. It's like, no, let's just go back from the beginning to really see who God is.
Yeah.
Oh, I think the average Christian probably has, and this is just a guess, I don't know, probably a 5 to 15% understanding of the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Like
that's
like,
a great estimation. I would piggyback on that.
Yeah, I just finished reading Genesis. And I read it once a long time ago when I was a little boy, you know. I just finished like 2 days ago. I'm into Exodus now, right? Because I'm trying to take the Bible in its entirety. And there is so much history that happened. Like Genesis, I've had a conscious thought of this, that once I finish reading the entire Bible, I'll bet Genesis will be my favorite book, just because of all the history that happens.
There's so much.
You ask, why doesn't cool stuff happen anymore? I don't know, because Genesis is chock full of cool stuff, man. Like, it's epic. It's an epic story of.
You got Adam and Eve, you got Noah, you got Moses, you got Joseph, like
Abraham,
Isaac and Ishmael. That's an interesting story, especially and what it applies to today as far as Islam is concerned. You know, Ishmael was the kid who was born, who is described in the Bible as he's the goat of a man, right? No, donkey. He was the donkey of a man who would raise his fist against his brothers, and whose brothers would raise their fist against him.
You said Isaac and Ishmael?
Isaac and Ishmael, the sons of Abraham.
Well, isn't that the story where both religions can be traced back to those two people?
Yes. Yeah, it's because it's just so interesting. I mean, I'm not going to get all into it. I'm not the biblical scholar that Nick is.
Not a biblical
but
scholar.
Having just read... No, you're not. Whatever. Man, yeah, it's so interesting. I can't wait to read Exodus.
It's great. Everything that I know is from watching The Prince of Egypt. So
I love The Prince of Egypt. I cry at that scene.
Such a good movie.
So, like, okay, you just opened up a can of worms, and we'll get back to Islam. But the scene when he enters in to talk to the burning bush, that they nailed that scene. Like, when it comes to, oh gosh, we need to watch that scene right now. But he walks in. He questions God, and then God says, "You're standing on holy ground." And then he takes off, and it wasn't just like he took off his sandals. He took off his sandals and he threw them back,
right?
You know. And then when God was giving him his, what do you call it, command, or he was commanding him to do something, Moses questioned him, and then he pinned him up against the wall and says, "Who did this and who did that?" Just talking about all of his godly accomplishments,
right?
And then whenever he saw that Moses was scared, he then wrapped him in his glory. I was like, oh, I'm getting chills thinking about it right now. I love that movie.
It's such a great movie.
That's a great movie. I have sentimental ties to it because before my brother came to know Jesus, probably about 4 years ago.
Awesome.
And my brother is an intellect beyond nobody's business. Like the way he absorbs information. He makes video games for a living. Like, very cool. So he's the texture artist. He makes all the environment. Very proud of him. And now he's an apologist. Like,
interesting.
And like the stages that new Christians will go through, well, like the annoying stages, like they want to get everybody saved at the very beginning, and then they become a Calvinist, and then they kind of walk into their grace stage. He did that at a rapid rate, because he absorbs information so quickly. But now he is just this well of knowledge. But I remember before, because he just came to know Jesus 4 years ago. We saw that in the theaters.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember whenever Moses, took the staff and he slammed it down for the seat apart, me and him were bawling our eyes out. And we looked and we just, two brothers, we're just sitting there bawling our eyes out because we just saw a great example of the glory and the power of God.
So cool.
It was, sorry, Nick. I blame her.
That's all their fault. Everyone's always blaming the Jews.
Always the Jews.
Jeez.
Always. That's funny.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad we could talk about that.
I mean, they should make that as a live action.
I think it's in the works. I do think it's in the works.
Well, they have the 1950.
Oh, no.
A live action that, like,
bro, have you not seen that movie?
I've seen 10 Commandments, yes, but it's not Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt.
Okay?
I want the Prince of Egypt.
Now, I will say this: we're going to pick apart this movie. There's a couple, maybe one big detail that they got wrong. Even though scholars have said that's the best depiction of Moses' story, but the one thing they got wrong is whenever he came off of the mountain, they said that his face shone because he was one of the only people on the earth that actually got to see God, even though it was like his trail of glory, you know. Mm-hmm. But it said that whenever he came down, his face shone with the glory of the Lord. And so most people depict that as all of his hair turned white, you know, so they could have had some kind of visual representation of that, and they didn't have that. But that's the only.
I'll talk to DreamWorks about
it. Please do. I'd love to hear what they say. But yeah, we can get back to whatever we were talking about.
Islam.
Islam. Stop talking about this thing. I want to talk about it.
I like how the Buddhists just never bother us.
Because they're
the Buddhists.
If you want to talk about a false religion that's peaceful, that's probably one of them.
Right.
Yeah. You're like, they're a false religion, but they're peaceful. That's why me and Nick say we're okay with the Mexicans being here now.
Well, yeah, because
they're
let's get on that topic too. You know, they always want to paint the Mexicans as the illegals we're trying to deport. It's like,
not.
no, our major concern was the illegals using the Mexican border, like the South Americans, the Chinese, the Middle Easterns that were using that border to come across. That's who we're more concerned by. I could care less if.
Couldn't care less.
Yeah, couldn't care less. I always get tripped up on that. The gardener or whoever is here working. He's not trying to overthrow our government. He's not trying to do what we want him gone. Do we want him to come to legal way? Of course we do. But my major concern is the Somalis. Let's see. We could just go down the list of all these people that are here illegally. But who do they put as the picturesque poster child of illegal immigration?
Yeah,
Mexicans.
Mexicans.
Every time.
Yeah, and then all the liberal women are like, but who's going to like clean your house?
That's so true.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, thanks for acknowledging to us that you're racist. That's great.
Liberals are the worst, especially, you know, they're behind defund the police. We don't want police, you know. Who do you think uses police services more than liberals? Liberals. They call on everything. Yeah. The most racist. Oh, there's a black guy on my street. He doesn't look like he belongs here. That's a little racist. Yeah. It's America. He could walk, you know, free on a public sidewalk.
Yeah, man.
But they're the first ones to call and complain.
All right, let's talk about our woke pastor friend, because I want to give you the synopsis of why we had him on. That's the right word, right? Synopsis. Yeah.
Reason.
Yeah.
Synopsis.
We'll go with
is a
synopsis.
Quick rundown of how it happened.
That's what I'm about to do. Quick rundown.
Okay. I'll bet you it's more of a reason than a synopsis. But go ahead, Nick.
So one of my followers sent me a picture of a church sign, and on the church sign it said, "Kindness is the new punk rock. Chinga la migra." Which, you know what that means in Spanish?
No.
It means F ice.
Oh.
Yeah. And he put this on his church sign.
Wow.
So we made a video responding to it saying, what about Romans 13, where it says, obey the laws of the land?
Mm-hmm.
And he then responds to our video and he called us bootlickers.
Of course.
Yeah.
Or to name calling.
Kind of pissed me off a little bit.
Yeah.
I've never been called a bootlicker before. I didn't like.
I think the number one response we get from the clips is, so he said F ice, yet so love your neighbor, but F ice. You know, that's what the biggest comment that we've been getting.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but heaven has some pretty strict borders.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much for saying that without me asking you to say it. That is a great point.
And what else?
It's a point we didn't make.
Oh, a kingdom divided will not stand.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to let in all these other cultures and you know, degrade our American culture.
Yeah. So
interesting.
4 against dice.
Oh, 4 ice.
4 against dice.
4.
Okay. Awesome. All right, we're coming up on our time. I'm going to ask you guys 3 questions. This is my litmus test.
Okay.
To see if you're liberal or conservative. Okay. And I will say this. Usually the people who get hung up on these questions are the liberals.
Shocking.
Yeah. And we've only had one on so far. When does life start?
At conception.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
She's going to be like, I agree.
I
agree.
Conception.
Okay, conception. All right. Number 2, how many genders are there?
2.
2.
She's rolling her eyes like she's like, why are these questions being asked?
I hate test taking so much.
He'd be able to answer.
I love
these.
that. He was like, I can ask my 6-year-old this thing.
And I'm having like test anxiety.
Great. I love it. What is a woman?
Which one's going to answer?
I know.
Which one?
The woman.
A woman.
Me.
Is that your answer?
Yeah,
You?
I am a woman.
You're a woman. Okay. What's your answer?
It's easy. It's scientific. A woman's just a woman.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Okay. So we get a lot of different types of answers, but most of them fall under the same category.
I would hope so.
Yeah. But other than we had one cop on, loved the guy to death. I went viral responding to one of his videos, and he was talking about how action is always faster than reaction, which is why cops have to pull their gun first. And he did a demonstration with someone, and that's what I was reacting to, and I thought it was a great demonstration. Well, it went so viral that we got connected, and he came in and was on the pod, and we asked the conception one, and he answered, at conception. But then he went in to explain himself of if that is forced on someone, that I don't believe someone should be forced to have that child. And he got roasted by our crowd. And I'm like, but he kind of admitted to be more in the middle. Well,
I think he hid behind some of his experiences being a cop and some of the way your ethics might have to be compromised from time to time in order to avoid shooting somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he kind of hid behind that a little bit. I guess he was a cop for like 20 years or something.
Yeah. How long were you a cop?
13 years.
13. Okay, so still a good stint.
Yeah.
I wonder if I ever saw you in Beverly Hills as I was jaywalking.
As you're jaywalking.
Or texting
I did
while
not
driving.
like writing
I'm so
tickets.
sorry.
That's one thing I did not do is write tickets.
Oh, so you weren't patrol?
I was patrol, but I just handled radio calls, proactive policing. Because my whole thing is, why am I going to ruin someone's day? I would stop people, but I never wanted to write a ticket.
So sweet.
Because especially
that's the kind of cop we need.
My go-to is always like, if you get pulled over and a cop asks you, do you know what you did? And you say, no, wrong answer. If you go like, yeah, I know, I rolled that stop sign.
Always admitting like,
usually they're like, okay, hey, don't do that again.
Oh, that's good to know.
But when you start buying, no, I didn't. It's like, okay, you're going to call me a liar now? All right, here's your ticket. Let's go to court. Let's settle this.
Gotcha. I think that's a good way for all cops to act. If they openly admit, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm in a rush, blah blah blah. I usually when I do that, I got pulled over by a cop in Dallas whenever I was Ubering on New Year's Eve. Oh, and it's New Year's Eve. I was busy. I was literally like feet away from my rider, and I ran a red light. And it's downtown Dallas. Downtown Dallas. It sucks. So I didn't even know I ran a red light. And I saw the cop. Like I did it right in front of him. I didn't know I ran a red light. And so he pulled me over and I was like, crap, what? And he comes up and I guarantee you he was your size. But nice guy. Okay. Came up. He's like, did you see me? And I'm like, yeah, what'd I do? He's like, you ran a red light. I was like, what? And so I think he just saw the genuineness of my shock that I ran a red light and that why would I run a red light if a cop is right there?
I'm honestly surprised though, because I have never seen more people run red lights than in Dallas.
I think they were more on, it was New Year's Eve, so I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah, he was looking for something else.
I got a ticket last time I was in Malibu.
For what?
I was putting an address in my GPS on my phone.
Because you had your phone
Damn it. I was like, do you know what you did? I'm like, yes, I do.
That's so funny.
Sorry.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
Islam sucks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus is awesome. I pray you come to know Jesus.
Amen.
And I'm saying that sincerely, not as I'm not going to even say that. I love Jewish people. I'm going to say that.
We're lovable.
You are lovable. Yes. And there's going to be I hope there's an encounter you have that's going to rock your world in the best way possible.
I've definitely had some very crazy moments since I've been in Dallas. And good, like
Go crazy. Yeah.
yeah, I have some stories.
We can talk about those in another episode. So, Patriot Mobile. Thank you, guys, for coming on. PatriotMobile.com/NRP. PatriotMobile.com. Put in the code NRP. Free month. Live Audio, LIVV Audio.com. Put in the code NRP for a 15% discount. And Patriot Pouch. Patriot Pouch.
I'm gonna try one directly after this. After the show.
Directly? Does it
Directly.
give you like an energy buzz?
Yeah, it helps you focus. And more, I'm so like numb to nicotine and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even feel it anymore.
okay.
It's just the
Yeah, I
ritual
don't-
and habit of it.
Okay.
You know what I expect to get from it? The satisfaction of the mechanical aspect of dipping, basically.
Yeah, well,
Put it in,
I'm sure
feeling
when
it
you
in
quit
there.
dipping, like I did, I was like, what can I like use to like?
Yeah.
So I'd throw seeds in my mouth
Seeds,
or whatever,
yeah.
and they'd just chew up your gums.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
it's
okay.
the habit,
went
the
through a lot.
ritual of habit.
That's what he keeps complaining about because he's like, I want some dip. You know, after everything that he usually dipped.
Yeah. How long ago did
After-
you quit?
Oh, I quit dip 2012.
2012.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Dang.
Because I was doing it in high school, college,
Sure.
and then I had a scare. I was like, oh, I got cancer in my mouth. I was like, I got to quit right now.
Every little thing. It's cancer. It's cancer. Yeah.
And then
I
I
quit
just-
3 months ago, and I still,
Oh, nice.
I still want to dip, man.
Yeah.
Like every now and then, I'm like,
It's just cool.
It's
Yeah,
just
it's-
cool. It's
well,
not
it's cool.
cool.
You're-
Is it cool?
I honestly, okay, I like that cigarettes are making a comeback.
Oh gosh, that's
They
even
are,
worse for
yeah.
me.
But
Like,
I'm French.
Yeah, I can't. Like if I can smell cigarette smoke like 10 miles away. Like I'm so sensitive to it.
Oh, it's disgusting,
can't
but I
stand
it.
love that they're coming back.
What?
Yeah,
That makes
what-
no sense.
No, a cigarette is way better than a vape. That is like the
100%.
gayest thing you
So
can have. You're
fucking
sucking
gay.
on this little stupid
Both are
electronic
bad.
thing.
Like a vape and a Celsius, like ugh.
yeah.
I think that's more of
Beta.
an image thing. But
Yeah.
isn't
Yes.
vaping like you're actually breathing in metals?
Vaping is like
It's
I feel
way
like
worse for me
yeah.
for you
Yeah.
because you're doing it way longer and more too than
Yeah,
if
you're
you're just having a
hitting
cigarette.
it like
Oh.
nonstop.
Interesting. I think they're both bad, but
I mean, they're bad, but
Yeah.
one's just inherently cool.
Yeah,
But
no, it's not. No, it's not. Like I'm just gonna. No, it's
it
not
has
cool
been for generations.
I don't care what they say.
Let me
That
have
cigarettes
this.
is stupid.
Let's get back to
no,
the
I'm gonna
TV.
stand on this.
I want the TV commercials again where the doctors are like, I'm Dr. So-so and I smoke, Marlboro Red.
Yeah, like a
Like
hot
breathing a
cowboy
breath of fresh
smoking a
air.
cigarette.
A cigarette after a good meal.
Oh my
Keeps the
gosh.
doctor away.
It's like I never go out to bars because I can't handle the cigarette smoke.
That's
Like,
not why you never go out to bars.
That's one of the main reasons.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, and I've told you this
Okay.
before. Whenever arguing about it, like I can't.
Well, maybe
because
the
you
main
want me to
reason
go
should
out
be like,
dancing.
I don't want to drink anymore, so that's why I don't go to the bar. Not the cigarette smoke.
I can't stand it. No, I've never drank, so I never have like a. And
Yeah, you don't drink. You don't
Yeah.
smoke.
huh?
I don't drink.
Good for you.
Not because I'm sober, just because I've just never been into it.
No, me
I've
either.
never done
good.
any drugs, which is very impressive
Same.
coming from
Yeah.
a California girl.
Yeah, that is
That
impressive.
is impressive,
From where you're
yeah.
coming from. What? she
The tie-dye land, and you never did any hallucinogens. None. Never did any.
No, never smoked weed, nothing.
nothing.
Never. My dog ate someone's edibles once.
Oh.
It was really high.
I've heard of this before. I've heard of a story like people like dogs eating mushroom, like a bag of mushrooms
Oh,
or something.
man.
I don't.
That's funny. Last plug of
Terrible.
product that we're gonna do is we made a new shirt. I love this shirt. I'm gonna stand up for this, Michael. So look.
Yeah, be sure to tilt the camera.
Stop talking. Stop talking, Nick. Oh my God.
I'm sorry, man.
Sit. Nick, push it away. Okay. So it says, yes, I'm single. No, I'm not gay. Yes, I love Jesus. Yes, I'm single. No, I'm not gay. Yes, I love Jesus.
Boom.
I have a
Hey, ask me
question for
about
you.
my hat.
What about your hat, Nick?
My hat. This is our Deus Vult hat. Deus Vult is a.
He knows
You know
exactly.
what Deus Vult is. Yeah, it was a Christian war cry back there in the First Crusades against the Islamic invaders as we repelled them from Europe and put them back in their.
Deus Vult. So if you
As
guys
their-
want to get these pieces of merch,
What the?
you can go to Nick's Right Podcast merch.shopify or .myshopify.com, or you can go to our pages and it's in the highlights on the Instagram.
Can I finish my sentence now?
No, not I know how it feels.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry I did all the talking tonight, Nick. My apologies, bro.
Oh, I thought you were gonna finish.
No, I'm not going to finish it. Finish it all.
Anyway, thank you guys for coming on. Really enjoyed y'all's
Appreciate
conversation.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, we would go longer if we had the ability to, but I know Michael. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. So, Lord Jesus, thank you for this time. Thank you for the ability to cut up, to have fun, to talk about things going on in the day. I ask that you would bless this episode, that it would go viral. All the moments would go viral, that you would bless us as individuals, and that you would speak to us directly, exactly what you want in our lives, that we would be completely obedient to you. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, guys. All right. That was fun.
That was
That was
fun.
a more energetic episode that I think we've had in a while.